Oh, hello there. My name is David Taxman. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm here today to talk about a concept in the parking industry called practical capacity. This is typically applied in understanding the surplus or deficit of a parking system. Practical capacity is applied really to provide an additional level of comfort in a parking system so that you're not planning for it to be 100% occupied. So you're providing some additional parking to make it less frustrating for a user when they're looking for a parking space. Typically in this industry, a practical capacity factor can range from 85 to 90% depending on the type of user. So if it's somebody less familiar with the system, doesn't come there often, a visitor or a customer, you want to provide a lower practical capacity, so let's say about 85%. But if you're dealing with a user like an employee or somebody who's more familiar, uses it on a day-to-day basis, a resident, you can apply a 90% practical capacity factor. Residents, you might even say there's no practical capacity factor. You might provide 100% if they're assigned parking spaces. If there's valet service provided, you could also apply no practical capacity because it's not frustrating for the user to pull up. Really, that's more about the valet operation. Is there adequate number of valets, and is there just adequate parking to support that 100% demand? But the way it's calculated is that you would take the number of spaces. Let's say if you have a 100 space parking system, let's say you're using 90% practical capacity, you'd say your practical capacity of parking for the system is 90 spaces. So if your demand on a typical day is 95 vehicles, you're saying you're operating at a 5-space deficit. So you want to provide at least an additional 5 spaces. Now, if you have a high deficit of parking, you'd even want to calculate what the practical capacity of that deficit is. If you had a 100-space deficit for a system, based on your calculations, you would say, okay, well, I want to provide at least another 10% comfort level beyond that 100-space deficit. So you'd say, I want to provide 110 parking spaces additional. So this helps determine how much additional parking is needed and should be constructed to support a system, and you can also do it based on the type of user. So I hope this was helpful in understanding practical capacity, so the next time you hear it come up when you're dealing with your consultant or just you're doing your own study, you understand what this factor is representing and what it means. So I wish everybody the best. And again, this is David Taxman with Kimley-Horn. Take care.